Good evening. Welcome to Larry Rinker Golf Live. I'm pleased to be joined by trick shot artist Coach Rusty. How you doing, Coach Rusty?
Excellent. Thank you for having me, Larry. Pumped to be on the show.
Well, you've created quite a following with your Instagram account. You've got over 140,000 followers now. You're a trendsetter, and so it's pretty cool what people have been able to do. And those are real followers.
Yes, they are. They are very authentic.
But it's kind of neat, and you really kind of made a name yourself for being a trick shot artist. And I really encourage kids to bounce a ball on the club face when they're picking up balls on the short game area. I really think it helps hand-eye coordination, and that's got to help your golf game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've even said the same thing. You know, I used to coach, hence the name Coach Rusty, and I think that whatever you can do to develop a relationship with the golf club is obviously going to benefit your game. So, you know, the amount of time I spent with a wedge in my hand when I first started doing this, it definitely gave me a sense of feel, club face awareness, you know, understanding the weight of the golf club. It's actually pretty funny how it worked out. So yeah, it's helped a little bit here and there.
So Larry Rinker Golf Live is on Thursday evening, 7:30 to 8 o'clock. And there is Coach Rusty, my special guest tonight. New book is out. The Journeyman can pick that up at larryrinker.com. And there is where you can follow Coach Rusty at Coach_Rusty and follow him on Instagram.
That's a good photo.
Well, we took that today. When I think of you, I think of trick shot artist. The oldest one I can remember is a guy named Paul Hahn. And then his son got put Paul Hahn Jr. And then when I first got on tour in the 80s, there was this guy, Wedgie Winchester, that would do trick shots. And then there was the hitman, Chuck, used to do stuff on balls and unicycles and all kind of crazy stuff. He was a baseball player.
Yep.
But I remember playing golf with Wedgie Winchester up in Milwaukee at a course called Triple I during the Milwaukee Open. He was up there doing a show. He'd come to the PGA Tour events and do an exhibition. And I remember, you know, in the fairway, it was a normal shot, but if you hit one in the trees, all of a sudden you hit this unbelievable creative shot out of the trees. And I think today, Coach, kids growing up on courses where they don't have to hit it low, they don't have to hit it high, they don't have to hook it, they don't have to cut it from out of the trees.
Right.
They're really you want to learn those shots to be a better golfer.
Yeah, I agree. I think that a lot of that has to do with where you are geographically in the country, for sure. You know, I grew up in Northern Virginia in the Appalachian Mountains, and our golf courses, they were certainly difficult. They had a lot of undulations and a lot of bends and a lot of turns, but often you wouldn't find your ball. Like if you missed the fairway, you would be in some trees, but you'd be able to play a shot, and that's where that creativity would come into play. You know, down here, you know, at the Ritz-Carlton, where we're both at frequently, you hit your ball out, it's probably in the palmettos, and you're taking an unplayable or you're taking a drop. So it kind of limits the you know, those situations. So I do think that that's a good point. I think that, you know, if you can find yourself in a situation where you have to get creative, I think that just really broadens your skill set. And I think it's definitely important if you want to be one of the best in the world.
Well, I'm always trying in short game lessons, trying to create the atmosphere of the shot. So if you want to hit a high shot, well, let's set it up where you don't have a lot of green to work with. If you want to hit a lower shot and make it run, well, let's set up in the short game area a shot where now all of a sudden the shot you're trying to hit fits your eye. You're seeing it, you're visualizing the shot. And I think that's really important when people practice to do that. But I think we see a lot of guys today playing. I know you hang out a lot with Lewis Gagne, who's was low amateur in the 2018 U.S. Open at Shinnecock. He's a member, like you are, at the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando. You guys play a lot of golf together, and And I think it's important for good players to shape shots. I mean, I think of you're a lefty, and I think of Bubba Watson. I mean, nobody curves the ball more than Bubba today.
That Augusta shot, man, out of the trees.
The shot.
I mean, classic. And yeah, I tend to think lefties are slightly a bit more creative. Might be kind of why I'm in the position I'm in today. But yeah, I mean, to have that creativity and I like I said, it goes back to just building a relationship with a golf club. If you can hit those crazy shots, I think that you're going to be a lot more comfortable over a 150-yard shot straight downwind on to a pretty wide green. So yeah.
So you've done a lot of videos on Instagram. You're going to share some here in a few minutes, but
yeah,
obviously the more you do it, you're trying to figure out, okay, what's the next content going to be? What's the next thing I can dream up at breakfast? And I've seen you on the back of the range at the Ritz-Carlton kind of just saying, okay, what could I do? Let me think here. What's something I could do? I really like the shot where you did one for Michelob Ultra, and you kind of hit the beer was sitting on the cart and you hit it and it fell right in the cooler. That was a pretty cool one that you did. But you're always having to come up with new content, aren't you?
Yeah. I think that's probably 70% of my game is just the creativity. When I first started about 5 years ago, there wasn't really many people doing it. Me and my buddy Josh, who was just with me this week at the Ritz-Carlton, we kind of started at the same time, and the possibilities were endless. It was really more developing your skill, and then it got to a point where the skills are here, but then the mind is here, and you kind of got to catch up. And so yeah, it's definitely 70% of the battle. I think about it pretty much 24/7. I'll be in a conversation with my girlfriend and I'll be staring off into space, and I'll try to act like I'm interested in the conversation, but I'm really just thinking of what's my next video gonna be. So it's definitely tough, but I love that. It really gets your brain working, it gets you thinking, and I think that can correlate into other aspects in life as well. With what I want to do financially in the future. How can I get creative? How can I make my money work for me? It's pretty interesting.
Well, let's see some of these Instagram videos you have. I think
for sure
they're pretty fun. I like the videos of watching guys crash carts. That I've seen. That's not funny as far as hopefully nobody got hurt or you damaged a cart, but we've seen some crazy drivers.
Right. So we'll bring it back. Here's my Instagram, Coach Rusty. I do stuff on YouTube, TikTok as well, but this is where my main following is. And I've like I said, we started out with trick shots, and it really for me started with juggling the golf ball. That's kind of where it all kind of started for me. So let me see if I can find a good juggle video. I did one. Actually did like a little juggle performance at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. I thought I had that right around here. I'm not really sure. We'll bring it back. Maybe we'll get like a first person juggle. So juggling the golf ball, you always saw the Tiger Woods commercial back in the day,
right?
Where he was kind of bouncing the ball, and that's where I think everyone got their inspiration to kind of juggle a ball. But then I kind of figured, like, I think that's so cool. Why can't we just step it up and get a little creative with it? This is a cool one we did in the back of the Ritz-Carlton.
Oh yeah.
So juggling the ball, hopping the cart while juggling. And we're filming this all first person. So this is with the GoPro with the mouthpiece. So it kind of gives you a point of view. Stop it right before that little nursery green we have now. A little backflip.
Right.
Catch the ball. Stall it up top on the sole. Slam dunk in the hole. So pretty cool. But yeah, that's kind of how I got started. And then from there, it really developed into just like, where can I do trick shots instead of just on the golf course? What can I do at home? Here's a cool little one I did in my apartment. So we taped a little solo cup on the recliner, hit a bank shot, goes in, popped another one out of the mouth just for style points. So pretty cool. I've
Well, I
done
think
so.
of Tin Cup when they're in the bar and they say, oh, I bet he can hit that shot out there and hit the bird.
Right, right. It's a lot like that. Here's a cool one. So hitting the driver out of the air. This was down in Miami. They actually filmed the golf part of There's Something About Mary at this driving range, but I was just kind of working on, making contact out of the air. And
Right.
this is kind of what a practice session looks like here for like when you're warming up for a live show, something like that.
Is that really 7 or 8 in a row like that?
I did 15 in a row right there,
Wow.
actually. Yeah. This was one of my favorite ones I did at home with my son. Every kid loves flipping the water bottle, They always try to flip
Right.
it and land it. So we turned that into a golf trick shot collaboration. So he flips it, we taped a cup on top of the Gatorade bottle, and then it goes in. And we freaked out. So, I mean, there's literally endless possibilities, surfing on a golf cart.
Oh, I remember this one.
I mean,
that looks dangerous there.
it does. It's definitely hard to balance on there. And then here's the one you're talking about. So I do have a Michelob partnership, and I try to just get as creative as I can with their product rather than just holding it up and taking a picture. So
Right.
I put this Michelob on the edge of a cooler, and then I just barely tagged it. Just knocked it right in. So that's how you keep your beers on ice in style. So
Wow.
and it's just really fun. I've had the opportunity to travel a ton. This is on the California Arizona border. I saw this straight road with a mountain in the background. I was like, let me see if I can hit a straight drive, which I normally can't, but this might be the straightest ball I ever hit in my life.
Wow.
Right down the center. And so it's just seeing how creative you can be. This was pretty cool. This is So I'm gonna pause this real quick. So this was a series I did called Break Stuff Sunday, and this is kind of where I started to try to branch out as just a trick shot guy and be more of a content creator and have some fun. So this is in Howie in the Hills at IJGA Bishopsgate. Gary Gilchrist is a friend, and he let me kind of do whatever I wanted there. And so I went on Amazon and I bought this 32-foot in diameter weather balloon, and I had this series called Break Stuff Sunday where I would get random items and see if we could destroy it with a golf ball. And this is the weather balloon one that we did. Pretty fun.
Holy cow. You're going to hit a golf ball into that?
Yeah. We were wondering if it would pop it.
Jeez. Okay.
Let me get it all the way blown up.
If that thing goes, I would think that's going to be a pretty loud noise.
It was loud.
Oh.
Slow motion.
Holy cow.
Yeah, so I don't know if you're getting audio on those, but yeah, it was
not getting the audio, but geez.
But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I just try to see how creative I can be, and I mean, it's truly been a blast. It's been a long journey, but we still continue to put out original content, and I think that's the key in the social media space, just staying original and doing what you can do.
Wow, that is so cool, man. That is that's why you have so many followers. I mean, you got Ricky Fowler, Justin Thomas, you got all these top golfers that are very active on social media, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or TikTok, I guess is a new one for the youngsters.
Yeah. I've been on TikTok. I've got 50, 60,000 followers on there now. It's definitely skews younger, but I think what I do, the beauty of it is it appeals to everybody. And I think that puts me in a really good spot to continue to grow as long as we stay creative.
So where would you say your golf game is now when you go out and play? Are you scratch? You better than scratch?
So 2 years ago I was scratch. Now my handicap is technically a 3. I've had a rough 365 past days. I shot 75 the other day. at the Ritz-Carlton. I've had a couple rounds under par here and there at some other courses this year, but I mean, I could go out there and say I'm scratch and I could shoot relatively low, but I'd say if I'm shooting in the 70s, I'm happy. I'd like to keep everything below 76. If I'm in the 80s, it was a roller coaster of a day. So, but yeah, it's solid.
Well, a lot of us teaching professionals are looking to get more active on social media and post things. So, what's the key to posting a video on social media that goes viral?
Yeah, I mean, so
Hmm.
when it comes to viral content, I mean, when it comes to instruction, if you're trying to grow, that's just going to be consistency. You're continuing to put out content, try to find your niche, try to communicate differently than I think everybody else would, because if you're original in certain ways, people are going to obviously flock to you because you're bringing them a different value than what they're
Right.
already used to. I mean, there's so much instruction out there, but when it comes to posting content and getting it to become a viral piece of content, it's got to be shareable. You got to think about what you do prior, and you say, okay, if I do this, is this going to make somebody want to share it with their friends, right? Because if it does that, then all of a sudden, this guy's sending it to this guy and this guy's sending it to that guy, and that will just spiderweb, and that's really the key. And then it's also thinking about, like, will this video live well on other people's platforms? I get posted on, Sports Center, World Star, Hip Hop, Bleacher Report, House of Highlights,
Wow.
all these big pages, and you know before I make that piece of content, I'm asking myself, is this something that they would want to share, right? Because if it's not, then I'm really not doing I'm not utilizing my time, well with that content. My goal is, when I put a piece of content out, it's got to be something that's going to be shareable. It's got to, whether that be, on other people's pages, or if it's just people sharing it amongst their friends. So that's really the key.
So what's some videos that have surprised you that you maybe didn't think were that great, but really went pretty big for you?
On my page,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got a couple. Okay, so do you remember those fidget spinners that people would buy? Did you ever see
Fidget
them?
spinners?
Yeah. So basically, it was like a little ball, like a bearing, and then it had like three little. You can Google them, fidget spinners. I'm sure people in your audience will know. It was like a huge craze with kids, and so everyone was posting their fidget spinner videos. I don't know why. It was just like the biggest thing. So I took a fidget spinner, and then in the middle of the ball bearing, I broke a shaft in my trunk. I was literally driving down the street. I was like, wait, I got a great idea. So I got in the back of my trunk. I found a junk putter that I had, and I snapped it, and I shoved the shaft in the fidget spinner, and then I spun it, and then I like recorded myself draining a putt with this thing as the putter head, technically. And it went so viral, and I couldn't believe it. And then another time, instead of juggling a golf ball, I juggled a quarter, and I filmed it first person. I was juggling a quarter with my wedge. I don't know why I did it. I didn't think it was going to do great, but I did it, and I put it in slow motion. And like when the quarter would rest on the club face, it would kind of go like whoop, 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 and flatten out. And it was just one of those weird things that I did that went viral. And I've had a lot like that. That video where I showed you me hitting the ball out of the air 15 times in a row,
Right.
like that. That's like just me practicing. It's not me even thinking about a viral piece of content. That went extremely viral. Gary Vanderchuk even took it and made an edit on it and shared it. And
Wow.
it was just like it's weird. So sometimes the things that you work the hardest on won't do so well, and sometimes the things that took you the least amount of time and least amount of effort, like on from a creative standpoint, will do amazing. And so it's kind of a mind game, but at the end of the day, it comes down to just posting consistently, doing what you love too. I mean, if you really love what you're doing, it's going to show in the audience as well. They're going to pick up on that, and I think it's another big factor.
Well, I think another thing too is you got to realize that the formats are not all the same.
Right.
So TikTok is what, under 10 seconds, usually pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, you can post a 15-second video on there, or less, and then they have it now where you can post up to 60 seconds. You don't really see too many 60-second videos, but TikTok is more of like it's an interesting platform. It's one where you'll find that everyone's doing the same thing, right? It's all about trends and challenges, and everyone's doing the same thing. You'll be on TikTok and you'll see the same video from 15 different people just doing it in their version. So it kind of lacks creativity to a certain extent, but then there are some pretty solid creators on that platform.
And then Instagram, what are you looking for? 30 seconds, max a minute?
Yeah, it depends on, so when you're on these platforms like TikTok or Instagram, the people that are religiously using those apps are programmed now to really only consume short form content, right? Those are the people that you're not going to really find in movie theaters. They're not necessarily always on YouTube,
Right.
and so you got to understand that, and you need to understand that these people have very short attention spans. You've got to create a piece of content that's either very short or that's going to be really engaging the whole way through if it's going to be above 30 seconds. So.
And then what about Facebook or Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, I never got on Twitter personally. I didn't see a lot of value in it for what I do. I think Twitter's a really good place to gather information rather than content. And then Facebook's tough because I think Facebook's a lot better for businesses and people that provide a service, and it's an extra place for them to share their content, but it's also a good way for their potential clients to find them and purchase whatever they're offering. But for me, I focused on Facebook a lot early on, and it did pretty well. But then eventually, it just started to kind of slowly fall off. And I think that's just because the type of content I make doesn't necessarily live there very well.
Right.
Yep.
So it's pretty interesting to me. It seems like TikTok is a younger generation, but it seems like Instagram is really big right now. It's kind of the big one now. Twitter is, like you said, Twitter's kind of information. You got people that do really well on Twitter. And then LinkedIn is more of a business page, but I think people are used to just scrolling up and down the stream.
Yeah.
And it looks like Facebook when you do that.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of similarities with Facebook now.
And then personally, I like Facebook. I've got a business page or fan page, Larry Rinker Golf, which this is live on, but I have my own page, and my own page, I want to see what my friends are doing, or I want to, to me, that's my more personal place. Whereas LinkedIn, I'll connect with a lot more people there than the other ones, but it's just kind of interesting for really any small business that's trying to use social media marketing and promote themselves, whether they're a golf instructor like me now or they're selling coffee. It's interesting how if you are very creative, you can really do a lot of things now with social media that don't cost a whole lot of money.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hit it on the head there. I mean, not a lot to add. I mean, it's just all comes down to knowing who your audience is, knowing what platforms that content's going to live on well, and who it's going to appeal to. So, see, you're ahead of the curve.
Well, I think it's interesting that if I'm doing Instagram, I want to shoot it this way. You don't shoot Instagram this way.
Right.
And if you're doing, like you knew to turn your phone this way, so you're full screen here. So it's really about understanding what the pictures are. Like we're full screen here, Facebook. If we were on Instagram Live, we would be like this, wouldn't we?
Yeah, exactly.
Format. So it's really thinking about if you're going to post a picture, just even a picture or a video that, hey, you got to realize how's it going to sail once you get it to wherever it is you're going to put it. So that's why you're probably being a little more creative with what you do in your social media platforms, realizing, hey, I've got this one great idea, but I got to kind of change it. I know you've got a pretty cool camera out there that you shoot all your stuff with, and those tricks you're pulling off, they're tough tricks. I mean, you're having some reps to get things happening. I saw that one you just posted, I think today or yesterday, where something is spinning in the hallway and the ball goes through like a tape thing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like next to impossible, really.
Yeah, that one was tough. Basically, I took like an 8-foot rope and I tied it to the top of a duct tape roll, and then I spun it and I hit a ball through it, and I got that like a couple tries, and then I figured, how can I make it harder? Then I swung it while it was spinning. I mean, I can share. It's on here.
Okay.
If you'd like.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find it. So it's on my reels.
So what is Reels? That's just shorter versions?
Yeah, so Reels is like basically Instagram's attempt to compete with TikTok,
Okay.
right? So it's a good way to find content from other people that you might not necessarily follow.
Right.
So here's that video here. So I hit it fast and then I slow it down. You have to hit a perfect little shot. I hit a 5-iron here. Perfect timing, perfect speed. You got to hit it straight. And I the hardest part about that one was that I didn't necessarily know if it went in because I'm moving so fast. I hit the tape so many times. There was times where it would go below it and I thought it went in. And almost every time I got close, I would have to stop, set it down, go back, look at my camera and see if it actually went in. So on that one, when it went in, I was like pretty sure. So I kind of like, I didn't want to react like I missed it. So I just kind of held it for a second. Then I went back and looked at it, and then I just let out a huge yell because finally I got it. But yeah, I mean,
so it'd be hard enough if it was just sitting there, not moving. Now it's moving, and that means it's moving up and down. And let's make it even harder and have it twisting.
Yeah. I always kind of tend to do that. If I do something and I don't think it's good enough, I'll just try to step it up before I even post the first one. I mean, I could have just posted the first one and then posted the other one later, but I was just trying to do the best I can do immediately.
Well, if you want to follow Coach Rusty on Instagram, it's at Coach_Rusty. And Larry Rinker Golf Live is on Thursday nights, 7:30 to 8 p.m. Eastern. There is Coach Rusty. There's my book that's out now, The Journeyman. You can get it on my website, LarryRinker.com. And I'd like to thank my sponsors, Titleist, FootJoy, the Ritz-Carlton Golf Club Orlando, and the Red Sky Golf Club in Vail, Colorado. Also Flight Scope and V1. Coach Rusty, it's always great to see you out at the Ritz-Carlton and seeing you back there doing stuff. And then boom, I pull up Instagram. I can kind of see what you did, but thanks for sharing with us tonight. We're all trying to use social media and do things to help promote ourselves. And I think a lot of people got a little better idea what to do now.
Cool. Yeah, I'm glad I could provide some insight. Thanks for having me on the show. I enjoyed it. It was good talk, and I'll be looking for you tomorrow out there on the back of the range.
You'll see me. Till next Thursday, keep swinging.